here from the Mindful Foodie. Today I just wanted to show you how I go about washing and cooking quinoa. I had someone on Facebook ask me how to cook it so that it doesn't turn mushy. So what I'll do is I'll go through the process and hopefully you find it fairly simple. Okay, so for washing the quinoa I have a deep bowl and a fairly reasonably fine meshed sieve. So that it's very important so that your quinoa seeds don't fall through. And I have 1 cup of quinoa here, 1 Aussie cup, so 250 ml. And this is Tasmanian quinoa. So it's grown in Tasmania, obviously, by Kindred Organics. And with this quinoa, so the local Australian quinoa, needs to be washed a few times, unlike the one that comes from Bolivia, which is pre-washed. So I just tip it into the sieve, and with the sieve over the bowl, I'm very lucky here, it kind of works out well for me with the height and everything. I fill the bowl up with water with the sieve still in it. So I fill it up until it's basically covering the quinoa, and then I get my hands into it and I wash it thoroughly. Now, like I said, with the Tasmanian quinoa, you'll need to do this step at least 4 to 5 times. With the Bolivian one, you probably just need to wash it twice only. So, I don't know if you can see, but that's what I've got happening there. So, just really, squish the grains between your hands with the water. Okay, so the easy part is then you just lift that out. And I don't know if you can see, but the water, it's quite murky in there. So I'm going to tip that out. And I will do that step another 4 times with the Tasmanian quinoa. Okay. Now, the reason why I wash it so many times is because it is a bit dirty and murky. But also there's a coating, natural coating on the quinoa. It's called saponin and it's a bit bitter. So if you don't wash it thoroughly, you will get that bitter taste in the quinoa, and that really is the taste that can put some people off of eating quinoa without them really realizing that it can be washed off. And it's such a shame because quinoa is an amazing grain. Well, a seed really, but we refer it to as a grain, but it is a seed. And it's gluten-free. That's the main reason why I love using it. It's gluten-free and it's light and not heavy in your tummy. So it pays to wash it properly before you cook with it. And so when you've done washing your quinoa, I just take it out. Now it retains a bit of the water. So what I do is I like to tap it a little bit to get as much out, because it'll affect how much water's in there when you're cooking it, and it could become mushy. So I do try to tap it and get as much out as possible. Okay, so I think that'll do. So I've got 1 cup washed and drained quinoa there. And now we're going to cook it. Okay, I have a medium-sized pot here, and I'm going to tip the quinoa into this pot, like that, and we'll just turn that on. I like to let it, it's fairly dry because I drained it and tapped it on the sink before, so you can leave it on the heat for like a minute or so, stirring it so that the grains do dry up a bit more. So and once you're pretty happy with that, what I've got is, most people say cook quinoa, the white quinoa, 1 to 2, so 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. But I like to cook it with just under, so maybe 1 cup of quinoa to 1 3/4 cups of water. I find that you get a much more fluffier, not as mushy quinoa. So I'm going to tip the water into there. So that was 1 cup and 3/4 water for 1 cup thoroughly washed quinoa. And I'm going to bring that to a boil. Once it's boiling, I will put the lid partially on and turn it down to a simmer. Okay, it's just started boiling and I've turned it down to a simmer, and as you can see, there's a bit of froth here, so I am going to actually remove this froth and put it down the sink. Okay, so it's just simmering away there, and you can keep it as gentle as you can with the simmering. And I'll just leave the lid partially on without being careful so that the pot doesn't tip over. So that will take probably about 15 minutes to cook, and I'm just gonna leave it like that and check in now and then just to make sure it's on track. Okay, so it's actually been 10 minutes since it started boiling and then turned down to a simmer that the quinoa is cooked. So it's, as you can see, it's how it is when it's cooked. And I am going to, so that it doesn't keep cooking and get mushy, I'm actually going to tip it into a bowl. So in total, it probably takes about, 12 to 15 minutes to cook. So I'm just going to let it sit there. Sometimes, I put a tea towel over it so it absorbs any more moisture as well to get it nice and dry and fluffy. But you can let it sit there and cool and then use it however you like it. I've got heaps of links below on how to use cooked quinoa. Now that you have your cooked quinoa, you can do all sorts of things with it. I've provided a few recipe links below, so if you give them a go, please leave a little comment to say how you went. I also wanted to say that you can actually cook quinoa in large batches and freeze them in portions. Cooked quinoa freezes really well, and I like to do it from time to time so that I can, pull it out the day before in the morning to make myself like a nice quinoa salad during lunch. I work from home and it's just easy if I have already cooked grain, and then I can put salad ingredients together. You can also make an easy dinner with it. You can cook a pilaf or throw it into a soup, because quinoa is fairly high in protein as well. So it's quite a nutritious seed. So that's the main ways I like to use it, but I've actually given some links below on various ways on how to use it. I also want to mention that there's actually red and black quinoa as well, so you're more likely to find them in organic or whole food stores, and they're particularly good, I find, in salads, or if you wanted to make a quinoa porridge mixed in with your white quinoa. And they tend to take a little bit, the black and the red tend to take a little bit longer to cook than your white quinoa, and they need a little bit more water as well, so keep that in mind if you do make the red or black quinoa. Finally, it's the end of our tutorial now, so if you enjoyed this video and the tips, please feel free to share it with your family and friends using one of the share buttons below. I would really appreciate that, and I hope to make more videos. So I'll see you next time, and thank you for watching.